Hey superstars, it's your best friend Scott and welcome. So this kind of serves as our July recap video. I mentioned last month that I was not going to go to the National, and instead I decided to go to my very first SABR convention as it was in Cleveland this year. So this video is going to be all about that. Let's do it. Okay, so I was teetering on whether or not to go to the National. I absolutely love seeing you guys, and it would have been great, obviously, but the Chicago Nationals, they've become a lot more expensive and a lot less convenient. I was chatting with Dan Wallach, who does the My Baseball History podcast, and he mentioned that SABR's big annual convention was going to be in Cleveland this year, and I'd always wanted to join SABR, and I thought, what better way to indoctrinate myself than this, right? Usually there are between 500 and 600 attendees in one hotel every year, so compared to the National, that's pretty intimate. There are a few vendor booths, mostly baseball books, some off-site events, and oral presentations dealing with all kinds of different baseball topics. Poster presentations, I think it would be neat to make one of those. And then there are different committees within SABR, like pre-war baseball and Latino baseball, etc., and they would have committee meetings. Most of the time there were 2 or 3 events happening at the same time, so I'm just going to walk you through the events that I attended, and if there was something that I missed that I wanted to check out, I can always go back to the SABR website and find a recording of those, so that's pretty cool. Now, I did not take very much footage at all. I was just trying to take everything in, but I apologize for that. I will try to use any photos that I took and maybe steal a couple from SABR's website here and there to help illustrate what I'm talking about. So Tuesday, this was not a SABR event, but League Park and the Baseball Heritage Museum, they hosted a community event with the Cleveland Guardians. They had baseball clinics for the kids, and the draw for me was free hot dogs and a Q&A with Bob Kendrick, who runs the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City. On Wednesday, I got in a little early to sign in, much easier than getting your VIP badge at the National, by the way. So along with your badge and lanyard, everybody got a goodie bag with some advertising, the convention program, and this National Pastime magazine. This Dobie illustration was done by my friend Eric from Triple Play Design, and most of the articles in this particular issue are about Cleveland baseball, so you know I like that. And we got a SABR fun pack with some cards, and this says 10 picture cards someone didn't want anymore. That tracks. As I was waiting around, this dude named Jonah from New Jersey, he came up to me to tell me he liked my YouTube channel. He had done a great poster presentation about Larry Doby, so he's my kind of guy. I also ran into YouTuber Bob, who I met before in Chicago. His channel, In the Big Inning, is all about Jewish baseball. And then at 6 o'clock, we had a nice buffet dinner, pizza, corn dogs, bratwurst, hot pretzels, very fun stuff. As Bob Kendrick gave the opening remarks, I sat with a couple other newbies and a fellow from Columbus who had done this before, so he kind of cued us in as to what to expect throughout the week. Thursday started off way too early at 7 a.m. with a meet and greet for all the first-time attendees. I was my usual antisocial self, but I did meet a new best friend, Marcus, a freelance writer from Cleveland. If you're watching this, Marcus, what's up, dude? And then Cleveland Guardians president Chris Antonetti gave the welcome remarks and did a great Q&A. And then I mentioned that I had some pieces selected for the art show attached to this event. Well, that show was off-site, but I was eager to check it out, so I headed over to the arcade where it was, and the show was awesome, but my work was nowhere to be found. Honestly, I was kind of devastated, but I did look into it. I found out the problem, and it had nothing to do with the fine people at SABR. I have been told that my work will be up soon. The show goes until late September, so there's still time, but I was really looking forward to being shown at this event. There was an excellent presentation about Cleveland's historic League Park. I had previously read the presenter's book on the subject, and then a lot of the guys, they went on a tour of the park and Lakeview Cemetery, but I didn't sign up in time to get tickets to that. I did go to the Baseball and the Arts committee meeting. I had to do that, right? And then a tour of Cleveland Public Library and their sports research room. And then we ended the evening with the showing of the movie Major League with a Q&A with the director, David Ward, and that was awesome.
Free admission to anyone who was actually alive the last time the Indians won a pennant.
Honestly, at this point, I was having some mixed feelings. I was really tired, and the letdown of the art show, that didn't help, but I was feeling kind of like a fish out of water. I was finding it tough to meet people as I usually do. That's not my strong suit, so that's on me. But with this crowd, I don't have a clue who a lot of these people are, right? If you make videos, I can watch your videos and get to know you, and meeting you in person is actually really easy. I was kind of feeling like I was at a new school, the SABR Convention, and my old friends were all at my old school, the National, and they were having a great time without me. I don't want it to sound like these guys are jerks and they ignored me all weekend. Everybody I talked to was super, super nice. I'm the jerk.
The ashtray, the power game, and the remote control, that's all I need.
So Friday, right back at it, bright and early. I was commuting from my house about 40 minutes away. So I got there a little late and I missed the first presentation that I wanted to see about Boston's Royal Rooters. But I saw presentations about Luke Easter and then playoff projections, a player named Jesse Hubbard, who could have been baseball's first DH. Decades before the MLB started using them. It was really fascinating. And then the economic history of ballparks. And then the big event was the 1995 Cleveland Indians panel featuring Mike Hargrove, Kenny Lofton, Carlos Baerga, Sandy Alomar Jr., and Charlie Nagy. All those guys were fantastic, especially Kenny, who I'd never seen in person before, but he's really, really funny. It was a very Indians-heavy day. There was a Q&A with Guardians radio announcer Tom Hamilton.
They're fighting! They're swinging! Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
A presentation on the Cleveland Indians dynasty spanning the years 1947 and 1956. A presentation on Satchel Paige's appearances in Cleveland throughout his career, another presentation on Satchel Paige in pulp culture, and then a presentation on Frank Robinson's rather tenuous time as Cleveland Indians manager. Most of the guys, they went to the Guardians Diamondbacks game that night, but I was being kind of a cheapskate and I wouldn't shell out the extra money for a ticket. I also unfortunately missed the pack rip event that night. Everybody that went brought 10 packs of baseball cards to divvy up and redistribute. But that was from 11 to 1 a.m. and I was already at home and in bed. I was feeling a lot better about the whole convention at this point, though. I'm not really sure what clicked, but I was just digging all these presentations and soaking it all up. On Saturday, I went to the Dead Ball Committee meeting, and this one was really, really cool. There were brief presentations from Scott Longert, who writes almost exclusively about Cleveland Indians history, and I've read every one of his books. And then Phil Rosenzweig, he talked about his Hassan Triplefolder's book, which I'm loving. I started it, but I haven't finished that one yet. And then Rick Hoon, who wrote the book about the 1910 Chalmers race, and that one inspired me to do my Lajoie Cobb painting. I emailed him a while ago, and I made it a point to say hi in person, and he remembered me. There was a panel on analytics with part of the Guardians analytics team. And it was kind of funny because Bo Naylor was traded during the panel and they were cheekily pretending to be surprised by the news. And then I saw a panel about the MLBPA and its history. And that was a bunch of lawyers saying very lawyery things. There was a speech given by Billy Altman, who doubles as a music journalist and a sports writer, and he also found himself working as a scorekeeper for the Mets and the Yankees. Very fascinating guy. I then went to the baseball card committee meeting. I definitely want to get more involved with those guys. And then I saw Robert Fitz give a presentation on what it's like to go to a Japanese baseball game. At this point, I took a break for lunch and checked in on the art show, but my art still wasn't up yet. So I came back from lunch and I went to the Black Sox committee meeting and the Latino baseball committee meeting. This was kind of the last one of the day. And it was a fun one because Anthony, who runs this one, he's just a great, great guy. And Carlos Baerga snuck into this one. He was just sitting in the audience, taking it all in. I've talked about Carlos before. He's just a fantastic human being. And then they did the closing ceremonies, a lot of trivia, Jeopardy and Family Feud type games. It was really fun. A lot of these guys' knowledge of baseball is just off the charts. Absolutely incredible. Would I go again? Yes, absolutely. But I'd want somebody to go with, I guess. Next year, it will be held in Birmingham, Alabama. And I've already got a little interest from a couple people, but we'll see. Next summer could be a little busy for me. But being close to Cleveland, I know the city and I didn't do all the things because I've done them before, right? But if I'm going to go to a baseball game in the new city and go out to eat and that kind of stuff, I would like to have somebody to do that with. And not to say that I won't develop any relationships with these Sabre guys in the future. I do hope to get more involved, but I'm just not there yet. It was great not being tempted to spend a bunch of money on baseball cards. I did buy some books. Here's a little pamphlet on League Park, Bonsai Babe Ruth, which I've been wanting to read for a little while now, and a book on Napoleon Lajoie. I'm pretty excited to dig into that one too. Eric from Triple Play Design gave me this sweet Dobie card and signed his awesome Rocky Colavito poster from the art show that I will hopefully be in soon. I do want to thank Dan Wallach from the My Baseball History podcast again. It was awesome to get to know him a little better and to meet his mom, and Anthony Salazar for all of his help. Dude was probably super busy this weekend, but he was extremely kind and gracious with me. This was just such a great event for baseball nerds. It may replace the National for me, maybe. I'm still going to go to big card shows like Strongsville and Philly, right? So we'll see how it all plays out. So, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you dig it. And as always, take good care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you real soon.